Let's get straight into our first interview tonight. Vitaly Klitschko first made his name as a champion boxer. He turned to politics in 2005 and became the mayor of the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, in 2014. But he never imagined he'd be defending his city and his people from an invasion by the Russian military. A little earlier, I spoke to Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv. Vitaly, first up, thank you so much for sparing some time to talk to us when you are in the middle of what you're in. Let me start with the military situation now in Kyiv. Putin has advanced on the city, but he's failed to capture it, and nor has he at the moment sought to flatten it with shelling. And Moscow's now saying it doesn't want to put Kyiv at military risk. Are we at a stage yet where you feel you could say that Kyiv is safe?
First of all, it's nobody feel himself safe in Ukraine. If you're in Ukraine, are you sorry in danger? Second point, right now the huge battle we're talking right now and listen, it's explosion. It's battle right now north of the city and east of the city.
So you can hear that now outside.
Yeah, I hear right now outside this explosion. Because in Irpin, Borodyanka, Gostomel, right now they is fighting. It's near to Brovary. It's a small city, satellite city of Kyiv, and that's why right now they circle around the Russian army will move back, and they moved, but still danger. And we listen all day the explosions.
Vitaly, when the Russians say then that they tell us, and we hear these press conferences where they say that they are switching attention away from Kyiv and they are moving their forces elsewhere, you don't see evidence of that? You don't believe that's what they're doing?
Please don't believe Russians. It will be biggest mistake. They told it's not we are in Donetsk, Lugansk. It was not true. They told they don't want to war against Ukraine. It's not true. Right now, the occupation of Ukraine, the Russian forces make war. It's not true. Right now, the Russians told they go away. It's not true. The battle is there. Maybe some part of forces move to another side of Ukraine, but they still around Kyiv.
And Vitaly, I think we've got some pictures. I want to show you some pictures that we've been seeing here in the UK. I don't know if you can see them. We have one of Mariupol. This is Mariupol. This is from a drone. And then we also have some pictures from Irpin, which is not that far from you. When you see these pictures, how does it make you feel?
It's painful to see these pictures. The city doesn't exist anymore. The whole building is destroyed. The city is destroyed, and it was a couple of months ago. It's a great part of our cities where very comfortable life, and it was privilege to live in a satellite city near to Kyiv. Right now, the city not exist anymore. Right now, we collecting the bodies, the people who killed from Russians.
Vitaly, when you see those pictures of other parts of Ukraine, are you fearful that this could happen to Kyiv, or do you think that the Russians would not dare to bomb the capital in that way?
I have a feeling. The Russians doesn't have some moral protection, or I don't know. It's they killing civilian. They kill children, women. They destroyed Mariupol, destroyed more than 50% of buildings in Kharkiv, totally destroyed. It's apartments building. They destroyed half of Chernigiv. It's 150 kilometers, around 100 miles from Kyiv. And I guess they can't use any weapons. We're talking right now about the chemical weapons. The Russians already used that in Syria. And if a couple of months ago, somebody tell me is what I think about the war, I will be, I never expect in modern time in Europe, we have huge war. This war is the biggest one after the Second World War. And if a couple of months ago, I tell it's impossible. But right now, if you ask about our hometown, it's everything possible if we look on Mariupol and Kharkiv.
Just on life in Kyiv at the moment, it's hard for us to understand what it's like there because what we see is the reports focused on war. Can you describe what it's like in Kyiv at the moment? Are you able to go to shops? Are cafes open? Are kids going to schools? How are you living at the moment?
Before the war, just 2 months ago, 1.5 months ago, the population of our city was 3.5 million people. We are one of the largest cities in East Europe. Right now, we guess half population is women, children already left. The majority right now, the men who are ready to defend our city.
Yeah.
The life, it's actually war destroyed the logistic, war destroyed the normal life and the people. And right now the streets is empty. It's block post with people with uniform, with weapons, territorial defense. But slowly, Ukrainian, the Russian forces a little bit far from Kyiv, but everybody want to come back to city.
They want to
It's
come
personal decision. It's I talk to many people. Everybody want to come back, but it's personal decision of every families for everyone. But it's personal risk for everyone who come to Kyiv. We listen explosion every day, and the risk to die is pretty high. And that's why my personal advice for everyone who want to come, please take a little bit more time. Let's see how situation will be developed in the next couple of weeks.
And Vitaly, your family, you have children, you've got 3 children. Do you see them or have you had to send them away? I mean, presumably you are at risk personally because the Russians have you on their hit list.
My brother Vladimir is together with me.
Yeah.
I send my mom and Vladimir sent his daughter outside of the country. It's right now this family. It's outside of the country.
So
it's,
you haven't seen your family for weeks.
More than months.
That's really hard. That's really hard. You are on the Russia hit list. President Zelensky, we know about assassination attempts on him. Have there been assassination attempts on you?
It's everyone in Ukraine in danger. Every citizens of Ukraine right now in Ukraine have risk. I come from a military family. My father, former officer, he's actually died and spent his life to defend the people in Ukraine by Chernobyl nuclear catastrophe what Ukraine had 1986. Father study me and my brother is big privilege. I am former soldier also. It's big privilege for every man to give his life as defender of your country. And that's why we are not afraid. Nobody wants to die, but it's our home. It's our hometown. It's our families. It's our children. We defend our children. We defend the future. We don't want to live in the country in Soviet Union. We don't want back to USSR. We don't want to live in the country where there's no human rights, where there's no press freedom, where there's no rules. I'm talking about the Russian Federation. Because the goal of Putin to rebuild Russian empire and to occupy Ukraine and to rebuild Soviet Union. We was USSR and we done back in the past time.
And Vitaly, you are clearly prepared to die for your country. I think you're saying to me, if you lose your life, you are not afraid.
Nobody want to die. Nobody wants to die. I tell you some example. I traveling every day. I go to every districts of our city. I stop in by block post and civil defense. I am very surprised. The people with very peaceful profession. For example, musicians, actors, doctors. Right now, they stay with uniform. They never expect to take the weapons in the hands. But right now they want to defend his city, hometown. And we always was peaceful nation. Ukraine is peaceful country. We never was aggressive to anyone. But right now, is a question about our future of our children,
Vitaly,
and we have to defend.
Vitaly, can I ask you just quickly about your future? Putin clearly wants to take the Donbass region and some of the south of the country. Could you live with Russia taking some territory from Ukraine in order for peace?
Russians right now starting to talk about some compromise. What about we talk? I don't know. Compromise to give the Russians some part of our territory is compromise, is job. The compromise if the Russians killed thousands of Ukrainians and right now we have to find the solution. I don't know what we talk about, what we have to talk about. And that's why just one wish, Russians go away. Russian soldiers have to go away from our home country. And after that, we're ready to discuss. We understand the Russian army much stronger than the Ukrainian. It's actually Ukrainian soldier, Ukrainian army destroyed mythos about Russian strongest army in the world. I explain you why Ukrainians so tough. Because Russian soldier paid, they fighting for the money. Ukrainian soldier, Ukrainian citizens fighting for the future of our children. You feel the difference between the money and the children?
And Vitaly, I have one final question for you then. You're clear that you are not going to let Putin take any Ukraine territory. What about President Zelensky's suggestion that Ukraine could perhaps have a compromise at committing to neutrality and maybe putting that to a referendum to the people? Is that something, as the leader of the capital, you could live with?
First of all, I am not involved in negotiation process between Ukraine and Russia.
No, but what do you think?
Second point, we doesn't have the final document. That's why we don't know what we talk about. I'm not ready to give the commentary about that. And also the referendum, neutral status. We was always neutral country. We want to be the part of European family. It's our decision. We want to be democratic modern country. It's our decision. And to take away our wish, it's not fair. It's we decide, and we have. We need to be someone who take a decision regarding negotiation and referendum. I don't know how we make the referendum in the war. Big part of Ukrainian right now outside of the country. They moved. They to safety place during the war. We have a lot of questions and not so many answers for that. By the way, let's see the negotiation document. Let's see negotiation letters. What make both sides, and after that we can discuss about that.
Okay, Vitaly Klitschko, thank you so much for spending some time to talk to us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vitaly Klitschko there. Well, coming up after the break, we'll get the thoughts from a former spy, Christopher Steele.